Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to episode 15 on Correspondent Week. And I'm delighted to introduce to you and welcome back our Southampton correspondent, Matt Samuel. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, good to be back, mate. Thanks, mate.
Good. What are you looking forward to most? Is it Saints kicking off in game week one, or is it your wedding, which is that the day that you go to Newcastle?
Yep, and the wedding ceremony starts at the exact same time kickoff is.
Wow. Will you extra celebrate by captain Alexander Isak as well?
No,
Will you be owning Alexander Isak?
yes.
Fair game. Who do you intend to captain in game week one?
Probably Haaland. I think I'll go dull as shit. I don't want to captain Isak to then see him score a hat trick or whatever against Saints on my wedding day. So
No, I can completely understand that. Very best of luck to you, mate. As
I
I said
appreciate it.
to you off camera, it's something you only do once. Unless you're up the first time, good luck to you, mate. I'm sure that you won't. Right, let's talk Saints,
Yeah,
because I certainly recognize most of the listeners and viewers won't know a lot about many of your players, actually. There's a few names in here I don't know anything about either, so very much going to appreciate your help on this. For those who haven't seen you at all, tell us about Russell Martin and the tactics that we can expect to see from you and his philosophy.
so obviously, for those that didn't watch any of our championship games, we're were very possession based to start with. He kind of implemented that style from the off. I think it was Sheffield Wednesday, obviously first game of last season. We broke all sorts of records in terms of possession base, and I think we were in the top five across Europe. Where were we for average possession across the season last season? That kind of changed a little bit as we got past Christmas, when we were starting a battle for the playoffs. And particularly as we then moved into the playoff games, we started to tweak tactically, kind of rotated between a back three or a back four. And we've also seen that during preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting to look at the opponent, and then that will kind of dictate how we set up. And that's probably the way we're going to have to go if we don't have the shit show of the season we had the last time we were here.
What does that mean then for a game like Newcastle away? Does that mean back five to start with? Does it?
I wouldn't be surprised if we go for a back five. Yeah,
Yeah. Does that mean Forest at home in game week two might be a back four? Is that the sort of read we might have on this?
quite possibly. Yeah, because I think that particularly, and I mean we'll get onto it, but those front three, I think will be important for those kind of Forest games. But I'm expecting more of a back five kind of defensive counter kind of style of play against the likes of Newcastle.
It is, I think, a feeling within the community that you're going to be quite open. I don't know if there's an influence on things that certain people watched at certain times. For example, if I'd only watched, which was originally the only two games I'd watched with you last year, which were the two games against Leicester, I'd be thinking, oh my God, you're going to be like a fish out of water. You're going to get smashed every week because you're so wildly open. We discussed when you came on after the promotion that the Leicester 5-0 game, the second time late in the season, may have even turned out to be a blessing. It was like,
Yeah,
no more of that.
yeah.
But with respect, Leicester are now one of the weakest teams in this league. So do you think you're liable to be a team that now gives up possession, particularly in almost all away games?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. That there's no way we can go into games against the likes of Newcastle, Arsenal, City, and try and play in a similar style that we played for the majority of last season, because we'll get found out and we'll get turned over, and there will be spaces in behind. So the approach is going to have to be there in terms of that defensive style that might be a bit slower in the build up. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's going to have to be kind of passing for possession and kind of trying to plug those gaps and make forward movements rather than passing for passing's sake. Because if we get caught, you've seen, and obviously you've noted on the Leicester game, there was a couple of mistakes there and they're punished, and they'll get punished straight away in this league.
How essential is it that you stay up?
I think it's pretty key. I think given the approach that we're taking, and we'll come on to it, but we've made quite a few signings, some important ones to be fair. But yeah, I think staying up will be key to maybe getting more of the type of player we'll probably need to then progress in this league. I think if we go back down, we'll then potentially struggle and lose more of what we would have lost the last time we went down.
I asked that partly because quite clearly it's important that you stay up. But if I ask Paul or if I ask Aaron tomorrow, you're going to say the same. Yeah, of course it's important to stay up, and of course you want to stay up. I ask because what you're saying is basically against what I believe Russell Martin wants to deploy as a philosophy. And I wonder if there was an acceptance at the end on the importance of the reward of getting up to the Premier League. Daft comment here, not just for Southampton, but for himself.
Yeah. 100%.
And the reason I say that is Vincent Company has shown this year that you can go up with a good team, be absolutely dog shite, but if you stick your principles and your philosophy, you might walk into a bigger job afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the sort of thing, not that Russell Martin's going to walk into the Bayern Munich job, it's different because of the company's playing career, etc., but that sort of thing might alert him to think, no, I want to stick more to my principles? Because 5-4-1 is not going to be his principles, is it? If that's what you end up doing.
No, I think if we're to go for a back five, it'll probably end up being 5-3-2. I think we'll only ever see the switch of one player for a defensive player. So it'll generally be probably the left front forward would be replaced by, say, Jack Stevens. That's probably where he'll end up going. There may not then be obviously the overload kind of up front, but you'll hopefully then overload that midfield. And I think constantly we're probably going to see a very familiar three, which I think is key to him. And obviously, again, we'll come on to it, but Flynn Downs, for instance, I think is pivotal to the way that Martin wants to approach this season. You saw how important he was in the Championship, and he identified as the key man. He even did an interview and basically almost
said he cried, didn't
he? He'd cry himself to sleep if he didn't get Downs, and like no disrespect to any of the other signings, but Downs was the one that he wanted, and we managed to somehow land him. So.
Well, I don't think he was going to play at West Ham, so I don't think it's...
No, it's just surprising that Saints have forked out the cash, to be honest, because we don't generally do that. And given we've already paid 20 million for Harwwod-Bellis, I mean, going in for what I think it was 16 million in the end for Flynn Downs, knowing that we've still probably got to bring in, a couple of other players at least to try and stay in this league. I was quite surprised that we forked out the money.
It's two players without Premier League experience.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively speaking, in terms of proving at the top level. I didn't realise both players have played in it.
Yeah.
I think Harwwod-Bellis has, maybe once or twice. But they haven't got experience of playing week in, week out in this league. That's a big gamble, right? If that's where you've spent your money. I'm going to guess there isn't anything particularly sellable as an asset here that would get you a big income of money. Not that you particularly want to be selling, but...
We've got, obviously, Walker Peters. And I mean, that's an ongoing saga. He hasn't played a minute in preseason. He hasn't featured in the squads. And Martin came out, I think, yesterday and basically said that, with everything that's going on behind the scenes, it's almost impossible to have him. Whereas that's kind of a different scenario to we had, obviously, the start of last season where you saw the likes of Prowsey. They played the first 4 games. So I wonder whether his head's potentially in it now. I think the agreement was he would stay with us in the Championship, get us back up, and if he did so, he'd then get his move. The fact that we've not seen him at all probably, cements that. The other one I think is Alcaraz. So he's been mentioned, and I mean, we're obviously recording on the back of the Lazio game friendly that we've just played in. He got sent off, but
I think the friendly.
Yeah. There was I think one of the Lazio lads started on Shea Charles. He kind of got involved. 4 of their players ended up trying to get on him, and there was punches thrown. But there's talk of if he stays, I think he'll be quality. He played really well for 60 minutes tonight. But the rumours are that we potentially want at least 40 million for him, and there was a couple of Italian clubs looking at him. If we can get that kind of money, then that's huge for us.
Would you want the club to take it?
Yeah, I mean, Charlie on his day can be an exceptional player. I think 2 seasons ago against Arsenal, he kind of showed that. He was obviously on loan last season. I think Martin identified that he didn't really suit the system he wanted to play. When he was given the opportunities early on, he kind of struggled to adapt. So obviously he was loaned out. Whether he can then kick on from that experience in the league, we'll see. But I mean, if someone comes to the likes of Southampton with 40 million, you almost have to say, all right, thanks. We'll take it.
Okay. Do you think you'll be spending further money, or is it not there?
I think we have to. I think we need at least another forward and a goalkeeper. And I mean, we'll come on to that, but we're going to have to spend money on a keeper.
Okay. To timestamp this, we are literally recording basically straight after this friendly with Lazio. 1-1, was it?
Yep.
Nice pink kit, mate.
Beautiful. Yeah. Looks better with the white shorts rather than the pink shorts.
It's going to look great when Alexander Isak pulls down them pink shorts in game week 1, mate. Because
I wonder when you were going to note that.
I presume that's what you're going to play in, mate. Let's talk the fixtures, because this is really interesting, actually, because everyone's looking at that first fixture at Newcastle. Get into it, mate. My rolling difficulty game weeks 2 to 6. You'll see Southampton at the top of it. And actually, there's a good run pretty much up to game week 11 before you play Liverpool in game week 12. Across that period between game weeks 2 and 11, you play essentially the other 6 teams around you, so including yourselves, the expected bottom 7. You play them all. And Forest, Ipswich, Leicester, and Everton are all at home.
Yep.
It's going to be probably the biggest period of your whole season, isn't it?
Massive. Yeah. If we can go into that Christmas period with decent points on the board, that'll be a massive benefit because, come the end of October, beginning of November, I mean, if we're cemented in relegation by then, I think 1, we'll be in trouble, and 2, we'd be surprised with the fans at St. Mary's if they start to get on Martin's back. And we kind of need that time to get used to the league. So this is going to be key.
Why would they get on his back?
So there were periods last season, even though we did so well in the championship, when we went on that streak of kind of losing 4 or 5 on the bounce after our 24-25 game unbeaten run, there were murmurings of people not enjoying the style of play. People were kind of getting on the back for some of the substitutions, and you're always going to have pockets. But Martin even touched on the negativity within some of his interviews and said, look, you're going to have to get behind the club if you want us to go up.
What was it they weren't enjoying?
I just don't think, and I mean no disrespect, but I don't think some fans understand the style of play, which becomes a big thing. And that's I'm
going to have to be really careful here.
Go on. No, I know. It's difficult because I sit and obviously I sit at the front with my old man because he's disabled, and I'm surrounded by 2 or 3 that have been going for 30-40 years. And obviously when we're kind of playing the possession-based football and trying to play out from the back, and it was, Bazunu to the centre backs and then trying to break the press, etc. It was constantly just get it upfield. And I was like, there's a reason we're doing this. I know it's going to take 30-40 passes, but when you see us and we get a goal at the end of it, there's a reason that style's there. I think because we've been quite a family orientated club and we've got supporters that have been really loyal for a long, long time, it's difficult because they've not seen this kind of style of play for a while, and we've been through the shit for a number of years since the Hasenhüttl Pochettino years. It was a bit of a change for them. So I think I think Martin kind of noticed that and then spoke about it. And there's also a fans forum on Monday, which is the one that we do every year before the season. I think it'll probably come up there as well to try and get everybody on board.
That's an interesting time to do a fans forum, because presumably a lot of that's going to be, are you going to spend some money?
Yeah, always. Yeah, they do it on the Monday before the season every year.
Okay, that's interesting. Possibly putting a bit of pressure on yourselves there. It's an interesting time. It's good for the fans, but I'm not sure that's right from the club's perspective. In any case, these fixtures, it's big. You've also got a game in there at home to Manchester United in game week 4. There are trips to Arsenal and Manchester City in there. There's also a trip to Bournemouth in there as well. It's a really, really good run of fixtures. I've actually penciled you in for Gasher Correspondence with Liverpool ahead of game week 12 at the end of that run. If we sit and do that podcast and you're in the bottom 3,
yeah,
I'd be worried for you. But it's good, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, when the fixtures came out, I was quite pleased. I think we've got a good start, quite a tricky kind of end. But then even after Christmas, we've got a lovely run. So I think it's been broken up quite nicely in terms of the fixtures. as long as we're kind of safe before, you know, May, because I think after that we play potentially, the top two in the last 3 games of the season, and
Yeah, you don't want that, mate.
no.
Is that what you got? City away and Arsenal at home last two. Is that
We've
right?
got City at home, Everton away, then Arsenal at home. Last
Oh,
game of the season.
God, that's your last 2 home games.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you want the title race done early.
Yeah.
Goes without saying. What is the expectations though? Because I mean, these fixtures will create some interest in FPL assets genuinely.
Yeah.
But what is the expectation from you as a fan going into this? Do you expect the club to stay up?
Yeah. I think I do. And I mean, you've seen my prediction. And yeah,
I
that's
have. I've seen
it,
everyone else's as well.
yeah, well, yeah, I bet we'll talk about that. But it's slightly optimistic, but I'm going into this season with a lot more optimism than I did 2 seasons ago. I think the players that we've signed this season and we've brought in a mix of prospects that are proven, say, in the Championship, as well as some pretty level heads that have got a lot of Premier League experience, like Charlie Taylor. Lallana's come back. So I think the mix of those is good, whereas 2 seasons ago it was very much bring in a load of 18 to 21-year-olds from Man City and hope for the best. And we saw that that didn't particularly go to plan.
Might have if Chelsea hadn't taken Romeo Lavia off you. Might have.
Well, yeah.
If he was sitting there with Romeo Lavia now, I'd fit Romeo. He's fit at the
Mm.
moment, actually.
Yeah, it took him
Um,
9 months to get fit, but yeah.
does this team feel as strong as the team that went down?
Yeah, I think it's stronger. I
I
think
think to most neutrals it won't. Certainly
yeah,
until they see it.
we've got more depth, which I think is key. You've probably got two reasonable options for most positions, barring, say, the keeper and maybe an out and out striker. We probably made a bit of an error when we were trying to stay up 2 seasons ago of bringing in, say, Onuachu and Sulemana for pretty decent money, because neither have particularly performed. Sulemana, is at an on off, whereas Onuachu just doesn't fit. And he's another one that we're looking to actively try and move back out. I think 8 to 10 million would again be a reasonable fee. We'll lose money on that, but it was a mistake at the time. But I do think we're stronger as a squad, and we've probably got a bit more experience in there now.
Okay. Let's talk FPL then. Let's talk Adam Armstrong in the
Yep.
first instance. Very nicely priced at 5.5. Likely to be, unless you tell me different in the next few minutes, your highest point scorer, I would think. Okay, that's interesting for the benefit of those in the audio. There was a bit of in and ahhing. That was an and ah face from Matt. We'll see
Yeah.
what we'll see what he says. But he's interesting at that price, clearly,
Yeah.
with what he did last year. Two sides to this. One, having spoke to Sam, FPL Seagull, Sam Murray on our last Correspondent Week pod, he's annoyed that he kind of thinks João Pedro probably isn't going to make game week 1. And just by virtue of that, that makes Armstrong quite a bit more interesting, because I think at 5.5, a lot of people would like to go for João Pedro, and they may have built structures that is now dependent on the 5.5 forward.
Yep.
With the fixtures you have, that's going to make him very interesting. However, I thought he'd do really well when he joined you previously, and he didn't. But last year, under Russell Mine, he did great. What Adam Armstrong do you think we get in the Premier League?
I think we get more of the Championship version from last season this year, because Martin understands how to get the best out of Adam Armstrong. Whereas previously he was tucked out wide left, had no ability to get in, like to the box, cut inside, etc. He just looked so isolated at times. Whereas it seems like Martin has kind of built that structure around Adam Armstrong. And we saw the kind of goals and stuff that he got last season, goals and an assist. He was exceptional at times, and yeah, I can see him kind of being quite driven to prove himself this time round, rather than obviously 2 seasons ago when he was maybe questioned that the Premier League wasn't quite his level.
I'm very, very, very interested in. Very. Not for game week 1. if this idiot decides to bench boost in game week 1 and then wildcard in game week 2,
Perfect time.
you can see the appeal. But your face when I first asked you if he'd be talisman has put me off. Explain.
The only reason I made that face is because we've obviously signed Ben Brereton Diaz. I can see, depending on who we bring in, Diaz being more central. And the difference being he's been classified as obviously a midfielder at exactly the same price, whereas Armstrong's classified as a forward. I can see Armstrong still getting penalties, but Diaz with the extra points for the goals and potentially the additional bonus points for those, I think it'll be tight. And I think that 5.5 million for a midfielder might obviously allow other things up front rather than vice versa. But yeah, I can't see Armstrong outscoring Diaz massively. And I mean, he scored a great goal tonight, cut inside and then put it bottom corner. And yeah, I think he's obviously played with Armstrong for a long time at Blackburn as well, which is going to help.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, that's I didn't think of that connection actually. It's very true. That's handy.
Yeah, I think they played 70 plus games together.
I've seen the goal that he scored tonight at time of recording. But it looks like it comes in off the left. Is that not right? It's a beautiful finish.
Yeah, I think Alcaraz wins the ball. He's kind of out there, and then he tucks in. It was very similar to that kind of 5-3-2 system that we set up with today. So it was kind of Armstrong and Diaz, rotating up top and kind of being quite flexible with it. So yeah, he kind of tended to go out left just for the width because Charlie Taylor wasn't particularly getting forward.
So I guess if you went to a 5-3-2, it's Diaz and Armstrong as the two then.
Yeah.
As it stands.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that really adds to the Diaz appeal. If you're going to get him into sanctuaries, I think that would be the concern. Is he going to be a player that ends up tracking back? We saw quite a bit of that at Sheffield United, but I mean, even the fact he played in that really bad team at the end of the season, his numbers are good.
Yep.
His numbers were good with Blackburn. We now know that he can cut it in the Prem because we saw it with the weakest team in the league last year.
Yep.
And it took him 5 minutes tonight to score a really nice goal for you. It was very similar, for those who haven't seen it, it was very similar to a finish he scored at Crystal Palace. Might have been his first goal he scored for Sheffield United. Where he come in off the left and just wraps it into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
Really nice finish. So you score from distance as well.
Yep.
Who would you prefer then? If I'm pinning you now and say pick one, Matt.
I've got Brereton Diaz in my team.
Is that down to structure or because you prefer him? Because I think this will be the sort of answer for a lot of people, isn't it? I'm going with if you're going with Isak Watkins, Haaland, for example, I want a Southampton player. Well, it's going to be Diaz, isn't it? So is it because of structure or because you genuinely just prefer him?
It's a good question. For me, it's probably down to structure has kind of dictated it. It's a coin toss, I think, between the two. But yeah, I'm going at the moment Havertz, Isak, and Haaland, for instance. So yeah, kind of Brereton Diaz fits in, and I want at least one Saints player. Got to have it.
Obviously, didn't watch Gabriel Jesus for Arsenal tonight then.
Well,
Oh, don't worry. We'll get your Clates' updated opinion on that next week. Havertz did play and he assisted twice in the first 10 minutes, by the way, actually. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess with respect, Matt, the answer to this will come more down to that, isn't it? Rather than I'm going to pick Armstrong or Diaz and then pick the rest. You're not, are you? It is going to be what falls into structure, I think, rather than you outright choosing which one you prefer.
Agreed.
Or could an idiot like me wildcard in two and go with both?
Why not? If you want to take that punt on us, then
you tell me how wild that is.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I can't imagine many will be starting with both. But if you want to go there, as you said, the fixtures are pretty good, all the way through. And if we're going to get goals, it's going to come from those two.
Yeah, I think Diaz is a 5.5 option because he's joined later, and a lot have been thinking about the players. We discussed it in detail on the Brighton podcast. I won't repeat all the names again, but he's being left out of that. And it is always easy to look out of it, leave someone out, and it's Newcastle away first game. It's nearly as tough an away game as you can have. Certain starter for you, Diaz?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've obviously got Ross Stewart, but I've spoken before that he's made of glass, and he got injured during pre-season, hasn't featured since then, and I think he's only just getting back into training. So yeah, I fully expect it to be Armstrong and Diaz.
Just on him, though, Ross Stewart, there is no 4.5 million forward of
No.
interest. Would he arguably be the best one? Has
I
he got
mean,
the
if he,
most chance of them of
yeah,
getting some minutes, basically?
yeah, if he can get fit, Martin likes him, really likes
Okay.
him. But yeah, it's just a matter of him getting fit, and that's been his problem for the entire time that he's been with us.
So would he have a chance of ousting either of those two once he did get fit?
Only if we went to the five at the back, then potentially. But I think if we're to play the four, I would expect it to be Armstrong right, Diaz left, Stewart through the middle. That would kind of be the approach. Whereas at the moment, I'm expecting it to be Diaz through the middle, Armstrong right, and then potentially say a Tyler Dibbling or an Ammo, kind of on the left there.
Has Tyler Dibbling been priced up?
Nope,
Thought he was going to say that. I heard some good reports about him after the game at Millwall.
he's been very good in preseason.
What is he? Is he your Mikey Moore?
Yeah, I mean you could say that. I think he's really impressed in preseason. I think Martin's been incredibly impressed with him. See, Sam Ammo was the one that came through 2 seasons ago, and then he got a little bit of game time at the start of the championship season, but Martin didn't want to flog him, and he's kind of played in the under 21s. Whereas Dibbling is really impressed with the under 21s, has come through, and yeah, every time he's played in preseason, he looks like he wants to drive forward and kind of prove himself.
You need a price.
I think so. I genuinely think he's going to get minutes.
Okay, Mr. FPL, you heard it, Mr. Dibbling. Price. It's obviously 4.5, yeah,
Yep.
so no piss taking there. And he can be your Lucas Bergvall then rather than your Mikey
Yeah.
Moore once he's
Yeah.
actually got a price for you, Matt. How old is he?
Oh, that's a bloody good question. Either late teens or early 20s, but I think he's late teens.
Young boy. Okay. If you did line up with a front three against Forest in
Yep.
game two, and Stewart was fit, would that be the front three?
Yeah, I think so.
He was fit.
Yeah.
Right. So if people want a 4.5 forward, that is legitimately the one then, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have any other option unless we bring someone in as a centre forward. Obviously, Che's gone now. So Ross Stewart effectively is our only number 9.
And you actually
He won't be here.
just go in, yeah? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think he come back obviously from his loan spell. I think it was Trabzonspor last season. But yeah, I fully expect him to go. He's obviously been part of preseason, but hasn't got any minutes. Hasn't featured in many of the squads. So yeah, I expect once a deal struck, he'll go.
you did say you'd want another forward though
Yep.
to counter the Stewart point before people get too excited. And as
Yeah.
you said, he's injured at the moment anyway. Um, is that likely to be a first choice signing, do you think, or do you need the body because of what you've just said?
It depends on who we can get, really, because I think the focus so far has been trying to get a creative midfielder. I mean, you've seen obviously the constant Matt O'Reilly kind of saga that's ongoing, and we've had a few bids rejected. I expect we'll probably lose out there. I think we've also put in a request for Carvalho from Liverpool. Whether that comes off, not sure. But the one I did notice was there's been discussions with Aberdeen about their forward. I can't remember the chap's name, but for 10 to 15 million. So we're clearly looking at someone that
Is it
we're never,
Morovsky off the top
yeah,
of my head?
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're never going to spend the 30, 40 million you need for a pretty decent forward in this, league. But I think if we can get at least someone else in, it will cover off for the inevitable when we've got injuries, etc.
From that group of midfielders you've got, surely a few of them can play in the front three, can't they? I'm thinking like Adam Lallana, Aribo, Idozi. They
Yeah,
could all play in the attacking wide positions, couldn't they?
yeah, a dozy will usually play out there. Aribo, I think his best position is kind of sitting alongside Smallbone, slightly in front of Downs. That really worked last season. and he seems to kind of thrive in that position. So I can't see him going wide. Lallana potentially, but I'm intrigued to see how many minutes he's actually going to get this season.
Aren't we always?
I think he's been brought in for experience, and I really wouldn't be surprised if he then becomes part of the coaching staff for the youth setup. Apparently, he's already come in and he's had really good conversations with the likes of Sam Ammo and Tyler Dibbling, giving them a bit of advice and stuff about, things to do on the training pitch and things to do, in the 11, etc. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's been brought in.
Okay. Other than Diaz, should any of these midfielders interest us from an FPL perspective?
Nah, until other than Diaz and Armstrong, I think there's either too much rotation in potentially that third spot. And then obviously you've got the three in behind, but Smallbone will probably pop up with a few goals, Aribo potentially, but they're never worth a consideration against some of the others in a very similar price point.
Alcaraz, if he stayed, I guess that's a difficult one to start with, but
yeah, I mean, if he stays and he plays that kind of role just behind, say, the front three very well, so there's a potential there, but it's all about if he stays.
okay. So essentially, from what we've got in terms of midfielders and forwards at the moment, it's Brereton Diaz, it's Armstrong, it's Stewart. If you've decided you need a 4.5
Yeah.
forward because there's not a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Goalkeepers. I'm going to say something to you before you say anything.
Yep.
Because I kind of alluded to this when we spoke in late May or early June, whenever it was. If you play 38 games with Alex McCarthy in goal, you're going to go down, mate.
Agreed.
It's pretty much the last thing I said to you.
Yep.
Was you are going to need a goalkeeper. And I saw you jumping into Southampton Slack channel tonight during the game. We need a goalkeeper.
Yep. Yeah.
I haven't got anything personally against Alex McCarthy. I just know that it's not going to be good enough at this level now. The game is evolving so much.
Exactly that. He did a bloody good job to get us into the position to get promoted when obviously Bazunu had the pretty terrible injury. Bazunu's going to be out at least until the end of this year, if not beginning of next year. But for the style that Martin wants to play, we can't play with Alex because he's useless playing out from the back with his feet. He gets in all sorts of tangles. He almost gave away a goal tonight, and he has given away possession countless times during pre-season. If we're going to play the way that Martin wants to, even if it's a back three, back four, we're always going to try and build rather than just lumping it forward. McCarthy can't do that.
To go back to conversations we had after you won the playoff final, in which there was a period where it must be remembered you played West Brom twice and Leeds, and you only conceded one goal, and it was effectively a goal when the game was already won in injury time, 3-0 up against West Brom. So that's great defensively. We discussed then that we thought part of the reason that the style had changed was because McCarthy had obviously gone in goal.
Yep.
And there was we can't do what we want to do.
Yeah.
The other thing is, obviously now it gets worse because the level of press you play against a team like Arsenal or Newcastle, okay, good luck, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck trying to play through that if you've got weak spots.
Yep.
You're going to be in so much trouble. So there's been links today with Sam Johnson. So I recorded with Rory, and you might have heard Rory on the podcast last night, and I heard him go, "Yeah, Henderson in goal." Well, at the time, we didn't know that Sam Johnson had supposedly handed in a transfer request.
Yep.
Of course, you're not the only club interested. Of course, Nottingham Forest's name has come up. I think I've heard Wolves' name, Leicester as well. He's a good goalkeeper, Sam Johnson.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's good enough with his feet for what Russell Martin really wants to do.
But he's better.
But it would be a major step up. Step up.
And I think the view from the club is Bazunu is still the number one, and they obviously want to ensure that when he comes back, that spot's there for him because they really believe in what he could achieve. So I think someone like Johnson could be perfect because I think he's 31. They're asking for say 10 million. I think that's ideal for the position that we're in. You know, he gets a full season with us kind of there, and then McCarthy will inevitably probably move on after he signed a contract extension. We've got a couple of others, in the background that just aren't good enough. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it. If we were to bring in Johnson, it would be good competition for Bazunu to get him up to speed. And then it may well be that Johnson is there as the number 2 potentially, or Gav gets another 6 months of kind of working with a good Premier League quality goalkeeper.
One you should push for,
Yeah.
if you could make it happen, is Ramsdale.
Oh, 100%.
And
But
and Ramsdale would have a couple of errors in there as well, but that's the sort of one that you'll have some real joy with what you want to do with the ball.
yeah, fully agree. The only way we get Ramsdale is alone, I think. But
Agreed.
but
But then
I
if you want
just
something to cover for Bazunu and he's going to not be ready till February, March, it might be a solution that wins for everyone. Because
yeah,
one of the things we discussed on episode 1 with Adam was like, where's he going to land?
it's
Where's he
just
going to
whether
land?
Southampton is too big a step down. I'd love Ramsdale. I think he'd be perfect for this kind of style of play, and he'd be great for. It's a huge upgrade, but whether he'd be willing to go from Arsenal's number 2 to,
Well,
Southampton.
the problem with that is I don't think that's a deal you get done now, because if you go to Arsenal and say, right, we'd like to take Aaron Ramsdale on loan, they might say, okay,
Yeah,
because of your style as well, it's fine for Arsenal in terms of he's not going to just be lumping it long every week. They might go, yeah, it's fine. They put it to Ramsdale, and Ramsdale go, I want to wait.
yeah,
I want to wait and see if there's a different club comes for me, and that's the position you're going to be in. Which,
yeah,
guess what, means you'll end up starting the season with McCarthy.
yeah. And that's the worry.
But that also means you probably go to Newcastle and I don't want to say shut up shop. That would be completely incorrect. But definitively go with a more defensive style.
Yep.
Then you might also do the same for the Forest and Brentford game.
Exactly. And obviously it's those first 3 games and the window shuts, and after that you've got the international break, and then the following it's 2 weeks after the deadline shutting. So I think that would obviously help for bringing in the likes of Ramsdale, because he's not thrown straight in 4, 5, 6 days later. He's got a good solid 2 weeks.
I would love it if someone memed me at the end of the season and Alex McCarthy had played 38 games and you stay up. I'd love it.
So would I.
Genuinely, it would be great. I'd love to eat that humble pie on that. It would be great. Um, you obviously want change. I think you need change. I think a lot of your fellow supporters will obviously feel the same. Does the club realise this?
I think so. I think the pre-season games have shown enough error from McCarthy in the minutes that he has played, and he's also been questioned about it in the media and the press conferences after the game, enough for us to go, yeah, we've got to get this sorted.
Have Matthias Liz or Joe Lumley got any chance of stepping in goal?
No.
Okay, fine. If McCarthy got injured suddenly, who would play in goal at Newcastle?
Lumley.
Okay, there you go. You heard it. Well, what a 4.0's got half a chance of playing. Well, if something very unfortunate happens to Alex McCarthy, you never know. You might get one game with a -1 score. I'd definitely be captain Alexander Isak, mate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you need a goalkeeper. I'm sure you'll get one. Defensively, okay,
Yep.
we've got basically 4.0s in here, but I want to discuss the 4.5s first, if we can. We've obviously discussed Kyle Walker-Peters,
Yep.
and I guess at the moment we're assuming he's going to go
Yeah.
somewhere, and I'm sure there'll be interest. A player like him who can cover at left back and right back, Tom Med, that might be a solution for you for Brentford. Sugawara and Ryan Manning are in at 4.5.
Yep.
I know nothing about Sugawara. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, that's as good as I would ever give.
You don't know. Tell me about him.
So we signed him from AZ Alkmaar. I think he also played in the same setup that Maya Yoshida played in.
Maya he,
Yeah.
Maya ha. Sorry.
So yeah,
Why was that never a terrorist
well,
chant, man?
but we love a Japanese kind of defender at Saints. But I've been really impressed with him. I think he was had some good attacking attributes for AZ Alkmaar, which is one of the reasons why we've kind of spotted him. I think he's already got 2 or 3 assists in pre-season, playing obviously at right back, and I think he'll start the season there.
Okay. Ryan Manning doesn't play then?
I would expect Manning plays off the left anyway for us, but it will be between Manning and Charlie Taylor. Tonight they both played. Manning was the one that played as the left-hand centre back, which was surprising, and Charlie Taylor played as the wing back. When the lineups were announced, I thought it would be the other way around.
I mean, I would have thought that as well.
Yeah, so I think potentially if it comes to the Newcastle game, I would probably expect to see, say, a Stevens if we play a back three, and then a Manning on the left and Taylor probably on the bench.
Okay. I presume we shouldn't invest in the 4.5s here. There's not a reason to, is there?
No,
Nothing. There's not a Leaf Davis type here.
no, not from what I've seen. I mean, Sugawara may well become a pretty good asset, and he's looked, good in spells, but I think it's far too early to be jumping there.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So we've got a load of 4.0s here. A few will be familiar names. People. We just mentioned Charlie Taylor. Now, you saying possible wing back is going to make people go, whoa. I'm kind of vision now Charlie Taylor not flying up your left wing. There's some familiar names now. Jan Bednarek
Yep.
going to be involved.
Yeah, 100%.
Starter.
Yeah.
Bella Kotchop has been in Germany squads. What's happening
I
to him?
I expect him to be sold. There's been a couple of bids, I think, for him. It just doesn't seem like he wants to be at the club. He was out on loan the entirety of last season, and yeah, I think he'll be another one that we could potentially make 10, 15 million on.
James Bree is a legacy of the Nathan Jones period,
Yeah,
which you probably still can't believe happened, but
no,
it did. Um, any chance of minutes?
he's
Well,
good.
I think it's more important to start, I guess.
Yeah, he's good cover, but I kind of feel a bit for him because he was brought in under that era, kind of sold the dream. Nathan Jones knew him, but yeah, he's kind of there and he has his moments. He's done his job when needed, but yeah, he won't start.
Ronnie Edwards has been signed from Peterborough.
Yes.
I feel like a year or so ago, all the top clubs were looking at him. You've bought
Yeah,
him for about 3 million.
3.5 million, which I am amazed.
Yeah, something feels off.
Yeah.
Either he's had a really bad season, I don't know it, but I don't know why when a lot of the big clubs were looking at him, and I know he's played regularly for England at youth levels,
Yep.
despite being at Peterborough, why that's happened.
Yeah, no,
I'm fishy about that.
same because I mean he played tonight for the first 60, 70 minutes and he looks so composed on the
Hmm.
ball. I think he really fits in with the kind of style that Martin wants to play. And similarly for the reason why we've signed Nathan Wood as well. I think they've both been identified as two good young prospects. What Edwards is 21, Wood's 22. So it really suits the kind of profile of player that we've been going for. But yeah, I can fully see Ronnie Edwards potentially, if we play the back three, eventually maybe stepping in instead of Jack Stevens. I think he looks a better player.
Not a starter though.
I don't think he'll start just yet. I'd be surprised if he's thrown straight in.
Okay, and you've kind of covered with Stevens that he sounds like number one backup essentially. We'll play if you play a back three, not in a back four
Yeah,
at
he
the
was he was
moment.
he was club captain last season, and Martin seemed to try and get him into the squad no matter what. But I think he's probably realised if it's a back three, he'll play. If it's a four, he won't.
Okay, talk to the 14% of people listening or watching who own Taylor or Harwwod-Bellis, mate.
Obviously, big signing for us. Managed to. It was on the obligation to buy if we got promoted, which we did. It's what 20 million.
It's a
I think he
lot.
was. Yeah, it's a lot of money for someone that has played well in say the championship. Played very well for that Burnley team that got promoted.
We were really surprised that Burnley didn't
Yep,
make it permanent last year,
massively.
particularly when they obviously continued talks because they bought Jesus, I've forgotten the goalkeeper's name. Where have I had I've done too many podcasts now.
Trafford.
Thank you. Cheers. All I could think of was Taylor. I couldn't think of anything else. I knew it began with a T. Thank you, mate. With James Trafford, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was amazed, and I mean, why they didn't have a similar deal in place that we did in terms of the obligation, because it allows you to get someone of his quality on loan, prove himself, and that's what he did last season. And yeah, I think he'll be a great asset for us. And again, of that age profile where they can kind of grow with the club.
Definite starter
Yeah,
out of 100%, subject to injuries and the obvious.
100%.
Is there another 4.0 that is 100%?
I'd probably just say him and Jan Bednarek are probably the two you'll see feature prominently from the off.
Why would Bednarek not start? I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Contract situation potentially. So as far as I'm aware, he's in his last year of his contract. And Martin's been asked about this, and he's adamant that Bednarek is going to sign, and talks are ongoing, and they've been positive. But that could be a reason, because if that carries on, we've then seen, well, look, if you don't want to be part of the process, then we'll find someone else. And we've got youth here that we brought in. I think hopefully that will get resolved, because he obviously went away, made the comments when he went to Aston Villa, kind of got a lot of Saints fans on his back, came back, and he wasn't exactly the most respected player when he came back, but I think he pretty much got most people back on side last season with his attitude to getting us promoted.
Harwwod-Bellis has more ownership than Valentin Barco.
Yeah, I noticed.
Discuss.
I think it's more to do with the fact that more people know the name Harwwod-Bellis compared to Barco.
Dude, I've not seen him play in the Prem. It's interesting.
No, yeah, but I think it's that kind of, English centre back. They probably know of him from seeing us on Sky Sports, etc. Know that he probably starts.
Wasn't he one of the ones that were the first ones that had a price?
Yeah.
I think it's almost a legacy of that a little bit. So
Quite
Bednarek never had his price out first, did he?
Nope.
Harwwod-Bellis was one of the first that came up with a 4.0, didn't it?
Yeah.
And all the Southampton guys, yourself, FPL Pricey, FPL Edit, a lot of them would he'll play every week, like right from the off. So the whole community knew really quickly this was a definitive 4.0 star.
Yeah.
I'll just forget about that now.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I think there is a legacy of that. And FPL have done really well with the pricing here at the 4.0s, because between yourselves, Ipswich, Leicester as well, we might have Mosquera at Wolves. Barco is the outlier, but it might be like, oh, we all need to go there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there's a load of 4.0s are going to play. We don't actually know if any of them are going to be remotely good, which is great. I'm asking myself what the chances are of Harwwod-Bellis being the best of that and having 14% ownership, on what will happen to it. Price is probably going that way. If you wanted a Southampton defender, if you think Bednarek will start, Matt, I would shift that to Bednarek.
Yeah, purely on the ownership basis. Yeah,
unless you think there's a chance that he could go, which I accept.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, Harwwod-Bellis scored in pre-season, but that doesn't really add much. Yeah, I can see that, because very much on the ownership basis. Within 2-3 weeks, if we've not kept a clean sheet in those first three, people start moving to a Barco or another one very quickly. Yeah, you're on 3.9, 3.8 million. No, it's a fair point.
I wonder as well, even with them brilliant fixtures, it's great cover, by the way. You're not going to start it, I don't think.
No, God no.
I don't think so. I don't know what position you'd be in at this moment to have two worse defenders on your bench than the Harwwod-Bellis. I don't mean that horribly to him. He's a very talented player. I just mean from a fancy perspective.
Yeah.
I'd consider moving it, because I think that ownership is a bit too high to.
Yeah.
I can't see. So what's the chance he scores at Newcastle when he win 1-0 and it becomes a massive bandwagon? I can't see it. And even if that did happen, you'd go, that's his one for the season, near enough, wouldn't you? I mean, is he a
100%.
big threat at set plays?
He's always up there, and he does get his head on the ball. But yeah, compared to some of the other central defenders, the Romeros, for instance, he's not one of those in terms of attacking the ball every single time it's thrown in.
Did you listen to the Ipswich pod with Paul?
Yes.
So he tipped up Jacob Graves.
Yeah.
Kind of similar-ish. They've obviously just spent big money on him from Hull. So it's kind of very similar situation. And they've also got really good fixtures. Admittedly, doesn't start till game week 3. But he's 0.6% owned. Whereas I'd just be really wary of that. I won't be starting with Harwwod-Bellis.
No.
Will you?
He's in my squad.
Are you still right? I'm sorry if I put you off.
No, he is in my squad, but that's mainly because I kind of threw in both Barco and Harwwod-Bellis just as a structure. Tried to get a couple of 4 millions in there to see what I could afford.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. There's two or three. I think I've got 0.5 in the bank, but there's a couple of aspects I don't particularly like. So yeah, I'll only be starting with one 4.0 at the start of the season, and I expect it will probably be Barco.
In seriousness, I don't hate that starting with the two 4.0s, because what we can definitely say from the bottom three clubs, and I know Aaron's going to give us a name or two on the Leicester podcast as well, although their fixtures arguably aren't as good, but they
No,
too, if you look at them sort of game week 7 to 10, there's a nice little run for them as well. Between the three of you, you've definitely got 4.0 starters.
yeah,
So if that's all people are bothered about and want to save the 0.5, sit there with an Ipswich and a Southampton defender on the bench if that's what you want to do. I'd just be
yeah,
really
100%.
concerned about that Harwwod-Bellis ownership.
No, that's a very good point.
But if he does score at Newcastle or something, I mean, you know what it'll be. Whichever one returns, that's where it goes early on. Whichever one's going to be the highest scoring, he's going to get the ownership. The chances are there'll be enough noise if Barco's playing for Brighton. The creators are all going to say go to Barco, aren't
Oh,
they?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the wariness.
But then,
And
but
go on.
can you imagine the scenes, as I come out of the wedding, getting all the confetti and stuff thrown at me? I look at my phone and it's Harwwod-Bellis 1-0. Like,
Matt, you won't have the points because there's no chance you'd start him, mate. Absolutely none. It's game week 1. There is the only way you'd be getting him off the bench is if a game gets abandoned or
yeah,
something, mate. You've got
yeah,
no,
no, it's true. No chance.
good luck with that. Good
Man
luck
can
with the
dream.
wedding. Thank you very much, mate. Do a predicted 11 for us for game week 1 as it stands, my friend.
So I'll go with the fact that I think we'll probably play a back three. So McCarthy. Then it'll be Sugawara, Bednarak, Harwwod-Bellis, Stevens, Manning. Probably then Downs, Aribo, Smallbone, and then Armstrong and Diaz.
Okay. Having chewed on it a bit, still Diaz for you, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Good luck, my friend. Where do you think you finish?
I mean, you've seen my prediction. I think optimistic, but I've gone 13th.
Do you want to tell everyone else what I said back to you?
I've seen you a lot before.
I've seen many a correspondent come up. I'm quite literally feel that way.
Yeah,
Yep. Balls out. Yeah, 13th. Sod it.
absolutely.
Do you think any of your other correspondents predicted you to finish as high, Matt?
Not a chance.
Um, no one has predicted you to finish outside the bottom 4.
Blimey.
There are 3 correspondents that have predicted you to stay up,
3.
not
Which
including
which 3?
yourself. What? Because you want to be nice to them,
Go,
or
I can go
I'll
and
tell
shake
you,
your hand. Yeah.
you can thank Dan ahead of game week 12.
Nice. Yeah.
Gary Mantle, but I wouldn't take no notice of that. He's predicted
No.
West Ham to finish above Tottenham,
Yeah.
and I think Sam actually was the other one, Sam Murray.
Okay. All right. That's good then. Because I know I'm
Um,
already in Sean's bad book because I was one of the 4 that predicted Everton to go down. So
how many do you think predicted bottom?
4.
Yeah, so nearly everyone's got you
Reasonable.
at 18th or 19th,
Yeah.
basically. I think my conclusion at the moment would be that actually I'm not sure that this is stronger than what went down, but I think the principles and the philosophy that the manager wants to instill might
Are
will
better. Yeah.
obviously give you a chance. I also think that's very much the case with Ipswich and Kieran McKenna.
Yep.
I'm very concerned for Leicester. I've said that this week, that with each passing day, I'm getting a bit more worried for them with obviously the change of the
Yeah.
manager,
Agreed.
their best players gone. It's beginning to feel a little bit of a vibe like Burnley and Sheffield United had last year, where the team that's up is not as strong as the team
Yeah.
that actually got promoted. And it's a very different manager with a very different philosophy of how to play football. That could go either way.
Yep.
They could also get points deducted. The biggest problem is what I keep coming back to. I look at the other 17 teams and I don't actually see anything going down, mate.
No, it's such a tough league, and I think
It's
that there
getting
might be a
brutal.
surprise. Yeah, it's you come up and you're like, shit. Like you look at the fixtures, yeah, you see the greens, but are we really looking at say Forest at home and that's a 2? It's like, not so sure anymore.
Yeah, Paul summed it up on episode 2. He's like, yeah, it's 38 tough games. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's right. And it feels like that now. I think in the winter period, it was becoming clear which 3 would go down. And Luton, do you know what, made a really good fist of it
We
for a
did.
little
Yeah.
while, and then their players got injured. We said the 3 that come up this year, you looked at the top of the championship table at the time, they'll definitely be stronger. And now we're here. I think the 3 of you are, but I don't know if the 3 of you have got any more of a chance of getting beyond it.
Yeah.
I just feel like everyone, even Forest and Everton, Brentford, I just look at them teams, I think you're all going to be all right. So I think it's going to be hard work, mate.
Oh, yeah. And I think Martin knows that.
But you're a very welcome addition back to the Premier League, and I'd like you to stick around because my dad loves that walk, not back to the train station. And I very much look forward to when we play at St Mary's, going in your new away end, which is on the
Yeah,
opposite side of the ground,
it is.
as you
You'll be
told us back
you'll be
in
sat right by
June.
me.
Actually, I'd be interesting if it's a Friday night because it's my birthday that weekend on the Friday.
Oh.
So, actually, no, don't. Premier League, don't do that. Don't send me to Southampton on Friday the 13th of December.
Yeah,
Don't do that to
absolutely.
me.
I mean, I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. You might need to pay for hotel for the night as well,
Well,
because I don't suppose I'll be getting back home.
not a
Right.
chance.
Back to Southampton Central. Do one train, about 2.5 hours, Birmingham New Street, and then you'll need a connection and take your pick, whether you get off at Aston, which a lot of people do, or Witton Station is actually a little bit closer to the away end at Villa Park. Next up on Correspondent Week, concluding day 4, is Lee Jackson talking about Aston Villa, who are looking forward to Champions League football this season. Matt, very best of luck to the season, mate. Good luck to you, pal. Cue music, please, man child.